Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, and joining me now is the promoter of the NFC, David Oblas. David, welcome to Half the Battle.
Thank you, Daniel. How are you?
Doing amazing. Yourself?
Doing well. Just heading down to my parents' house for the first time in Griffin, Georgia. They just moved there, so it's a good time to chat.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
It's not.
So I got to ask you, David, 15 years ago, what was your vision for the NFC?
I actually had no vision at all for what the hell I was doing. I basically was a journalist for a small little newspaper in Buckhead, and I loved boxing at the time, and I still do. And the kid behind me at our desk in Buckhead used to talk to his dad, and he was super loud, like however loud you are. And I know you're a pretty loud talker. He's about 5 times as loud as you are. And his dad was an inspector with the Georgia Athletic Commission. I used to always hear him talk to his dad about going to fights, and I started tagging along, and I became an inspector for the Georgia Athletic Commission probably in like 2000. I graduated from Auburn in '98, so this was only a year or two after college. And I got paid $50 to go to all these fights, and I went to all these boxing matches, and they all basically completely sucked. And whatever idea you have about sketchy promoters in boxing, I saw it all in a matter of a couple of years. And I basically thought I could do better than this. Like I'm not that stupid of a guy. I can probably put on a fight just as good as these morons can. So in June of 2002, I put on my first fight with the title Undisputed Productions, and there was boxing in Buckhead at the Roxy Theater. And I had a good friend of mine, O'Neal Bell, be the main event. O'Neal went on to be the cruiserweight champion of the world and two-time Showtime Fighter of the Year. And he was my main event, and he helped me put together the show. And it didn't suck; it did well. And I did a second show, and a third show, and a fourth show, and I just kept going. At some point in time, transitioned to MMA and changed the name from Undisputed Productions to NFC. So yeah, that's kind of long and short of it. So day one, I had absolutely no idea what the hell I was doing.
And that was 15 years ago. The sport has evolved so much since then. What's the vision for the NFC now?
Well, now actually, after 15 years, there's this company called Alliance MMA I talked to about a year and a half ago. Nick Maynard from Legacy at the time brought me into the fold. They made me an offer to purchase the NFC a little over a year ago. I said no, thank you to the offer, and I went on. And now I've seen what they've done in the past year, and I contacted them out of nowhere, and we talked for a few months. And I just sold to do Alliance MMA a few months ago just because I saw what they were doing, and I was jealous, and I wanted to be a part of it. So the future of the NFC is a future with Alliance MMA that now owns 10 promotions throughout the country, the top 10 regional promotions in that area. They also own a company called Cage Tix, which is like Ticketmaster. It sells tickets online. And then they also own a company called Sucker Punch Entertainment, which is Brian Butler and Brian Hamper's management company that manage a lot of fighters. So the future is all of us packed into one company together, helping each other and helping each other grow. So it's the first time in history that I or any other promotions haven't been against one another. We've actually been for one another. We meet quarterly, we talk daily, and we try to share ideas with each other to grow our promotion. So this past weekend, I took 3 of my people to beat 3 fights in Memphis. We helped out that promoter. Nick Carmeyer is the first time we've been there. He's been to my show a couple of times now. And I'm going to try to work closely with him to get our shows more in group with each other since we're so close in area. So it's pretty awesome. That's the way that fighters, and we're also going to start offering 4-fight deals to guys because our goal with Alliance MMA is to get guys into the UFC. The more guys we get in the UFC, the more feather in a cap it is for us here. So our goal is to get as many fighters to the next level. So we're going to start offering 4-fight deals to a lot of fighters that can not only fight for the NFC, but this is the best part. They can fight for any of the promotions in the Alliance MMA banner. So there's 10 different promotions. We're about to buy 2 more right now. And it offers a guy just using, for example, Dave Bickgate, for example. Dave can now sign a 4-fight deal where he doesn't have to worry about his next 3 fights, where will there be, for what money there be. We're take care of that. We're give him good, even matchups, and hopefully he wins and does his job and moves on to the UFC. So I think that's a huge opportunity for local Atlanta fighters to get on board with that.
Well, it sounds like that partnership with Alliance is a home run then.
It is. I think it's a home run for them. It's a home run for all the local promoters, and it really gives us an avenue to showcase our fighters and a group of people working on our best behalf as well that I haven't been able to do in the past. I've just been a one-man operation for the last 15 years, luckily with a lot of help from a lot of people that care about me and care about the promotion. But, if I ever got sick one day, if I died, if anything happens to me, the NFC goes bye-bye. Now this is the way if something happens to me, the NFC is still there in Atlanta, hopefully for a much longer time. It benefits the fighters, the fans, the gyms, the trainers. So I think it's a huge deal for everybody.
So what kind of advice would you give to young entrepreneurs, not necessarily fight promoters, but anyone that's trying to, start something from scratch on their own and make it big?
I'd say basically work your ass off. Find something you love doing, you enjoy doing, where it's not like work. I know everyone else says that, but then don't be afraid to work your ass off. Luckily, I'm in a field that I love doing. I love the people around me. I love the people I work with, and it's been that way for 15 years. But, any fight I do, and you can ask anyone around me, they'll always say, I'm the first one that weigh-ins. I'm the last one to leave weigh-ins. I'm the first one at the venue at 8 a.m. the day of. Once everyone leaves at midnight, I'm there till the cage is done going away at 2, 3, 4 in the morning sometimes. It's Regina's boyfriend or husband, Chris, that takes the cage away with some guys, and, they'll be the first to tell you, I don't leave till they're done at 3 a.m. And, it's been that way for 15 years, and, I'm 41 years old now. I'm not a young dude anymore, but I've always tried to be a workaholic. That's what is instilled for me from the beginning, and I think anyone starting their own company, don't be afraid to work your ass off because you're going to have to 24/7 early.
Now, when you first got into the fight game, was it 15 years ago when you were an inspector, or was it even before that?
I did my first fight June 26, 2002, so that's a little bit over 15 years ago. And then I started with the Athletic Commission in 2000, so I've been involved in the sport for a little over 17 years now.
So do you have a sense of pride when you see your fighters make it big? And, for example, David K., he's fought under your banner many times. Then he goes out there in Bellator. He sets the record for the second fastest submission in Bellator history. Another example, C.J. Hamilton. He started his career with you, and now, he fought on Dana White Tuesday Night Contender and put up a very good showing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that everyone associated with the NFC takes pride with. From me to Jesse Wavell to Charlene Dixon to Jose Santiago to even Nate Mann, who's with us at B3 this weekend, to Regina, who does the gloves, and other people. We all know the fighters that come through, and the fighters might hate me at times, they might hate Jesse at times, but we try to push them into tougher matchups that they might not like. But the point is, if they win that matchup, it opens up doors for them. If you keep fighting the same 0-2 guys and 0-3 guys and 1-5 guys, it absolutely does no point to you. All it is bullying. You're bullying against a guy that you should beat, and it absolutely accomplishes nothing, and it's not going to get you to the next level. If we can get a guy to UFC or Bellator, I think that's cool as hell. And one thing with Alliance, we had to send Burt Watson the name of every fighter and how many we've sent to the UFC. And NFC had sent, I think, the number 2 or number 3 list of promotions of all of ours, the number of guys to the UFC and Bellator. I think I was number 2 or number 3 amongst all 10 of us. So that's pretty damn cool because I didn't know we were that high in the number of people we've sent. It's something like 50 or 60 fighters that have gone through us to the UFC and Bellator combined. And it's pretty cool that we help fighters accomplish their goal. And I have no fighters signed under contract. So if someone wins or loses, it affects me a little bit. I feel bad for them or I feel good for them, but it's them accomplishing their dreams, and that's what they need to understand. They're not signing a 2-fight deal or a 5-year fight deal with Dave Oblas of NFC. It's a 1-fight deal where if they win, they own their own company. They can get to the next level, and that's why we try to push them into fights that they might not like at the time, but if they win those fights, they can become the next Forrest Griffin from Atlanta.
Now, David, obviously firsthand there's so many egos in the fight game. How do you put your foot down when fighters try to pick and choose their fights?
That's really the difficult part. I have Jesse doing all the matchmaking, so unfortunately he deals with the first level of BS before it ever gets to me. So he tries to negotiate with them and push them into the fight that might be better for them and the fans. No one wants to see Daniel Levi beat up a guy in North Carolina or South Carolina or Tennessee every time. Sooner or later, when Daniel Levi is winning a few fights, you want to see Daniel Levi versus the guy from X3 Sports or the guy from Team Octopus or the guy from AT&T. Like, as Daniel Levy's going up that ladder and someone else is going up that ladder, you want to see them go off on each other at some point in time. It just sucks when fighters don't see it that way and they come up with excuses. And I was just reading a thread today when I posted the new NFC rankings, and one fighter put on there like, I'm not fighting this guy at this level of promotion or something like that. And those are things that bug me, because if you're not willing to do it at this promotion, when are you going to be willing to do it? Because we're really the promotion right before the UFC. And we've proven that. If you win and go undefeated in the NFC, you have a title, you could get called up to the UFC. Like, we are one level down from that, and sometimes fighters don't realize that. So when you say, I'm not fighting a friend for a title belt, or I'm not going to do this or that because you're at this level, that's like, I don't know what you do for a living, Daniel. That's like you going into your work Monday or Tuesday and saying, I'm not doing this because I don't get paid enough. Well, what's going to happen to you? Your boss is probably going to fire you the next day, I'd imagine, if you say, I'm not doing this because I don't get paid enough. So I think, fighters, they need to take the fights offered to them, because it might not be there forever. And we're even seeing that with some title fights right now. Some title fights that I want guys to fight in, they said no to 6 months ago. Now they're saying yes to. But guess what? The champion doesn't want to do that anymore. So it's already evaporated and gone away. So, you kind of got to jump on the opportunity in the sport when it's offered to you, unfortunately.
Now, is there an opportunity cost or even a cutoff point for some of these guys that, pick and choose the fights? And the reason I ask is because, it's not just, a random Joe Schmo that's doing that. You've had some of your most talented prospects, even champions.
Yeah. And I'll use one example right now, not to talk bad about him. I'm just using him as an example. Chazz Walton. Chazz was the 155 champion. He had to get surgery, and I wasn't willing to have him on the shelf for a year with the title belt. It's not fair to the other 155 guys. It's just not fair. So we put Brahim Ngannou versus Wes Barnes, and Chazz said, this is only an interim title fight. Once I'm healthy, I'm going to smash the winner and get my belt back. And I said, I agree. Whoever wins, I'll make them fight you next. Wes Barnes beat Ngannou. And we also fight the Chazz, and Chazz said for a while, no, Wes brings nothing to the table for me. I'm not fighting him. He doesn't have a good enough record. He's not ranked high enough. Like, all these things. But Wes is the 155 champion. If you want to fight the best and you want the belt, he is the 155 champion. Well, now I talked to his manager, Chazz's manager, Brian Butler, last week at our Alliance MMA meetings. He says, hey, Chazz changed his mind. He'll fight for the title now. Well, the problem now is Wes Barnes and his trainer, Musin, aren't that interested. They're looking at him versus other 155 guys that are bigger names than Chazz, better records than Chazz, and simply they think if they beat that guy, it can get them to the UFC quicker. So that kind of turned pretty quickly that Chazz isn't the name he was a year ago before he was injured. The 155 Georgia champion is kind of looking at other things in other states right now, unfortunately. So that's an example of how quick things can turn. And I'm not talking negative about Chazz. I'm not talking negative about Wes. I'm just simply saying that's how things change overnight.
Oh, yeah. The sport doesn't change by the year or by the month. It changes by the day. But since you brought up Chazz, I have to ask you, look, this is one of the most talented guys we've ever seen come out of Georgia. I mean, 7-0 as an amateur, 5-0 as a pro with 5 first-round finishes. Is there a future for Chazz Walton in the NFC?
I think there is. It's just a matter if he wants to come back and fight for us. There's been words in the past. It's just a matter if he wants to come back and fight. If he's willing to fight under the same pay scale that other fighters are willing to fight for. And, fight one of these top 5 Georgia guys. There's 5 guys in the top 5. He's ranked number 4. There's some excellent matches to be made. And it's like I said, these guys are signed with a manager. They're signed to themselves. They're their own company. If Chazz Walton beats a top 5 guy or beats 2 guys in the top 5, that's his direct connection to the UFC. And really nothing makes me prouder to know that Chazz, who had all 5 of his pro fights in the NFC and many of his amateur fights in the NFC, could go to the UFC. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. So, yeah, I hope he comes back. It would be a feather in both power caps.
So, David, what goes through your mind on fight night? And the reason I ask is, you mentioned you're the guy that goes there from 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. And, one doesn't simply work an over 12-hour shift. That's exactly what you do. What goes through your mind on fight night?
I guess there's a lot of stress. Like, I guess I compare it to Thanksgiving dinner. Like, you spend, 2 or 3 days cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and then everyone rested in 2 hours, and it's over and done with. I plan a fight for 5 or 6 weeks for everything to go this way and that way, and then it happens in a matter of 3 hours. And the worst part for me is it's the time that I'm working and I need to get stuff done. but it's a time when all the fans want to talk to you and all your friends want to talk to you, and people sit in the wrong seats and security's yelling at you that this person's doing this wrong or that wrong, and the athletic commission can't get a hold of the female to get her to take her pregnancy test, and, just everything else going wrong. So I think it's just a matter of managing it all and getting as much done ahead of time so when really bad stuff goes wrong, you can pay all your attention to it. Even the kid that went to the hospital at the July 22nd Infinite Energy show, Nathaniel, he was the last fight of the amateur kickboxing card. So as he's getting in the cage for the last fight, we're changing the chairs over, we're changing the labeling on the seat, we're moving tables out of the way, we're cleaning up the Cobra grappling mats. As there's fights going on, we're doing all this to prepare for the second part of the show, when you and everyone else are coming in to do the announcing, the whole MMA portion. And in the middle of it, unfortunately, he's getting taken away in a stretcher in an ambulance, and we're trying to check on updates on him while trying to get the MMA show started on its way. So it's just always one thing on top of another, and when something goes wrong, it's always a domino effect. So it's just making sure everything's done the right way and trying to least stressed out as possible, I guess.
And speaking of things going the right way, I heard that NFC is going to be hosting the next weigh-in at the Braves game.
We are. That's it's funny. I posted something about that probably a year ago because I'm a huge Braves fan, a huge baseball fan. I think just baseball stadiums are iconic in each city, and there's nothing more you can do than work with a professional sporting team in your city. So I've been trying to get involved with the Braves with that Live at the Battery a year ago. So we're finally going to be doing our weigh-ins for NFC 99 to 100 at Live at the Battery, the Sports and Social right next door. So it's going to be NFC 99 on Thursday, September 21st at 6 p.m. We'll do the weigh-ins right there. And right in front of their 30-foot big screen TV, they're going to have us televised on there. It's right before the Braves home game that night, so there'll be tons of fans there. I think it's the last week of the Braves games, actually. So it'll be pretty crowded on Thursday. I bought tickets for all the fighters and trainers that come out there so we can all go to the game together right afterwards. But it's just pretty damn cool for me as an accomplishment to be a part of something like that, 5 feet from the stadium at Live at the Battery. And I think it's going to be intense and fun and energetic and, something the fighters will enjoy as well. And, that's what I look for. I try to look at it if I was a fighter, would this be cool with me? And I think it'd be cool as hell if I was a fighter to weigh in at Live at the Battery, have my parents there or something like that, and my family there, go to the Braves game with my dad or something. Like, I just think that'd be a kick-ass experience.
Oh, yeah, it's an unbelievable idea. Well, a couple more questions, David, before I let you go. So NFC 99 is coming up. We got Jared Gooden versus Eli Winter in the main event. And I think this is such an incredible matchup because if you look at it on paper, you see a guy in Jared Gooden. He's very experienced. He's been in there with guys like Dave Vitke. He's been in there with everybody. You look at a guy like Eli Winter, and you only see 2-0 on his record, but you look closer into it, I've seen this guy knock out grown men in the gym right before my eyes. That's the kind of talent we're dealing with Eli Winter. What do you think about this main event between Gooden and Winter?
I think it's a hell of a fight. Just like you said, Jared's taken a lot of fights on last second. He's fought a couple of times on Access TV for LFA. He's fought quite a few times in the main event on our shows. It brings a lot of experience as an amateur and a pro into the cage. Eli's a bit untested, but he is 7-0 in amateur and 2-0 pro. I'm not sure. I think Eli is the only fighter in Georgia. Eli and Chazz are the only two fighters that have an undefeated amateur record and undefeated pro record. And it's for a title belt. I mean, normally a guy like Eli at 2-0 wouldn't be the main event on an NFC show, wouldn't be fighting for a title belt. But he said yes to the fight, and it's a hell of a matchup. I think Jared has the edge, but for Jared to win the bout, he's going to have to beat someone that's never been beat as an amateur or a pro. Jared's kind of that Floyd Mayweather of Atlanta a little bit.
Well, that's why they fight. That's why fights are not contested on paper. So after that, your next event is a big milestone, NFC 100. I mean, David, what does it feel like to have put on 100 events for the NFC?
I mean, like I said, it's just cool. Like, I never thought I'd be doing 2 fights. I never thought I'd do 3 fights. I never thought I'd be regarded as a top fight promoter in Georgia or potentially, one of the top in the Southeast. So it's just cool as hell. I mean, I still enjoy doing it as much as I enjoyed doing it in 2002. I mean, a lot more BS has come on with the job in the last 15 years. A lot of things I don't like, but I still get as hyped up now as I did 15 years ago. So it's just remarkable I've hit 100 events. I mean, I was talking with my dad about it the other day, And he still remembers the first fight I ever did. I was on the cover of the AJC sports section. I was the youngest promoter ever in Georgia at age 26. And him walking to the office and how proud he was seeing that. And, it's just cool that 15 years has gone by and I've kind of stuck with it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. So who do you think are some guys from the NFC that the people need to look out for? Obviously, there's Jamar Whitehead, Nathan Williams, Robert Hale, even a guy like J.B. Hopkins. There's so much up-and-coming talent. Are there a few guys that you got your eye on?
Yeah, I think those guys you mentioned are just all young bucks coming up. Adrian Weathersby is a guy at Muay Thai that's a hell of a guy. James Smith. I've always liked Brandon Logano. that guy's gone out and just fought anyone we've asked him to.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Elmore, even though he's getting older and potentially toward the end of his career, he's even fighting Logano in NFC 100 in the main event. He's still a guy I get amped up to watch. Even someone like Bola. Bola's coming towards maybe the middle of his career, but I don't think we've seen the best of Bola yet. If his fat ass would get in the gym and train every once in a while, he could do something. When we were at Memphis this weekend watching B3, and this is nothing against B3, we just saw that the talent in Tennessee is less than the talent in Atlanta. Just from bottom of the card to top of the card, it made me, Charlene, Jesse Wable, and Nate Mann, who were all there together, it just made us look and say, damn, Atlanta's that much better than the Memphis, Tennessee fighters in that surrounding area. And I just think there's a lot of guys that are up and coming, from Jamar to Chase Boutwell, to a lot of the young kids coming up. And even their benefit is they fought on an NFC show before they were 18. So they got to fight on a big stage before they even really turned amateur. They were just little baby kids. So I think they've got the world ahead of them.
Yeah, Jamar and Chase Boutwell, definitely two guys you got to look out for. So in your opinion, because at NFC 98, I saw one of the best fights that I've ever seen in my life, and it was only a one-round matchup, but it was between Robert Hale and John Cobb, and the intensity of that fight, it was like I was at a UFC main event. It was unbelievable. So for you as the promoter, what have been some of your favorite NFC fights?
I think one of the best fights I ever saw was Dustin Chovanec versus Bola when we did a show at Wild Bills. They fought Muay Thai, and that was probably the most dangerous 3 rounds I've ever seen, because Bola almost murdered Dustin in all 3 rounds in the first 30 seconds. And then Bola ran out of gas, and Dustin almost finished him on all 3 rounds. But they were throwing some of the hardest punches I've ever seen in a Muay Thai fight. I think Jared Gooden versus I think it was Tanner Saraceno at center stage when we did. I think Tanner was just bleeding like a stuck pig in that fight, and Jared came out on the win after Tanner was beating the hell out of Jared for a while. I think Jared pulled out the win. Like you just mentioned, Robert Hale and John Cobb, when Robert just absolutely beat the crap out of John from start to finish, if you don't count those 5 seconds at the finish when John Cobb, got the submission on him. I'm trying to think, even Maria Olova versus the girl from South Carolina, Anna Crutchfield. Everyone said Anna was, the next Layla Ali, the next Holly Holm, and Maria was just an old lady coming in for that fight, and Maria ended up upsetting her that night in a back and forth 5-round fight, and Maria took it. So I think there's just been a lot of fights. I couldn't even start naming them really, but that's a couple that stand out in my mind.
Oh, yeah, and I can't emphasize enough how incredible Hale versus Cobb was. If it were up to me, David, they'd fight every weekend, but that's why I'm the commentator and not the promoter. Now, before I let you go, where will the NFC be in 5 years?
I think we're going to have a big sponsorship deal in 5 years, and I think we'll have a big TV contract in 5 years. And that's not due to me being any better at my job. That's just me knowing the right time to come on with Alliance MMA and knowing the things that Alliance MMA is working on right now for all of their promotions that are part of them. I think the best move of my life by getting a part of them. I think it's going to benefit the fighters locally. I think it's going to benefit the fans. And I think Alliance MMA is going to have some big deals that help you get to the next level.
Well, David, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now, on Half the Battle. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let the fans know where they can reach you and any message for them. Go ahead.
You can reach me on Facebook, just David Oblas, OBLAS. NFC Fight Night on there, and next event are NFC 99 on December 22nd at Pitch, followed by NFC 100 on Friday the 13th, Friday, October 13th at Center Stage. and working on NFC 101 in November at Electric Cowboy in Kennesaw.
Well, David, thanks again for the time, and I'll see you at the Brave Stadium for the weigh-ins.
Awesome. See you soon.